Hello again, everyone. I'm Vince Reed. And the man next to me you've known for a number of years and a lot of shows that we've done together. And of course, he is the one who's been the head coach for 14 years of the Pennsbury Falcons and had a successful run of 14 years. I'm one who really hates to see him go, but he's going to be leaving the coaching ranks, and I think, I'll say for now, I'll put it that way. He's young enough to be able to come back again. Of course, he would like to watch his son Luke, who played on this ball club the last 4 years, as he goes into college, and I can't blame him for that. And at the same time, I think we might see him around once more, once those 4 years are over and Luke graduates. But Coach Galen Snyder, one thing I got to say is this has been an enjoyable 14 years with you, doing this show and being, you being the head coach of Pennsbury. As you people know, we have done Pennsbury games for a number of years now. Mainly, to be honest, that we tell everybody the same thing. It's because we have such great sponsors of the Pennsbury Falcon programs, whether it's football or basketball or baseball, whatever, and whether it's win or lose, they are with you, and they've been with us for, I would say, most of them for about the 14 years that you've been here, maybe even before that. But I want to thank the sponsors, certainly, for staying with us and doing that. And, for you to be in there 14 years, win all the games you won, the championships, the districts, get to the Eastern Final, and just have tremendous games. I can't say enough of how, I personally am going to miss you. I'm going to miss the fact that you and I, we talk together, and you tell me things, and which I appreciate from coaches, and we've got other coaches in the area that tell me a lot of information about their team, even before a ball game, and some don't want to divulge anything, but it's no secret as far as I'm concerned. It's high school football, and you've been just a good guy that way, and that's why I said, and I mentioned too, that not only a good coach, but a great person, and really looking forward to seeing exactly what your son does, and also, seeing exactly what you decide to do when he graduates.
Well, I appreciate it, Vince, and it has been a good run, good 14 years. We've had a good relationship with BCB Radio and all the personalities with the show, with you and Billy and Marty and everybody, and so it has been a good run. And hey, get to coach at my alma mater, which was good for all these years. It's got a great tradition here at Pennsbury. You've been a part of that. You've been calling games here since. When did you start? What was the first coach you covered?
The first games I covered was in, actually was Conwell, Egan, and Neshaminy. Okay. And that would have been, I would think, it was the 1966 year in which Neshaminy was so good, and Conwell, Egan came in there, and I did my prediction show for the first time, and everybody thought I was wrong, out of the area. I didn't know what I was talking about, and I said, Egan's going to beat him easily, and that year they went over there and beat him 42-0. Wow. And that was the first game I ever did, was Conwell Egan over to Neshaminy, 42-0. When you do first like that, you remember those kind of things, as I'm sure you do. You've been coaching not only here, you were at Truman. Tell us about the days, when you got started, into this.
Well, I started coaching actually with Larry Green here at Pennsbury. When I first got out of college, Larry put me on. Larry had come down from Central Bucks East to coach. So I was a sophomore coach with Larry. And then what happened was I went over to Bristol Township and I got hired there, and I was working at FDR as a freshman coach for a couple of years. And then I came back with Larry, and I got to coach D-line with Larry, even though I was teaching over at Bristol Township at the time. And then I coached under Mike Elko for a couple of years as his defensive coordinator, and then I got the head coaching job at Truman. So I was at Truman for 4 years, and then what happened was the Pennsbury job came open, I put in. I got the Pennsbury job in 2002, and I also came over and started teaching over here as well. So that's what I've been doing the last 14 years.
Yeah, and certainly it's been a good run. There's no doubt about that. I want to let you know, of course, has been with the Galen Snyder Show all these years. Have been the Aria Health right there. You see, they are one of our sponsors all throughout here on the Galen Snyder Show. And another one, of course, has been the Continental Tavern. And they, of course, are representing this year their 150th year that they're in place there at Afton and Maine there in Yardley. Nice place, good place. Frank Lyons, a great guy. And I know we've had shows from there. We do the preview show of Pennsbury over there at the Continental Tavern. I know when it comes down to it, you stop in there, they're so friendly, they're so nice. and the food is always good, and every time we go there, we have a great time.
Absolutely, absolutely, good place.
Yeah, a good place to be, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about the Continental Tavern. As we said, representing this year, the 150th year that they've been in business over there, and they've got it all, great food and great people, and a chance also at the Continental, you watch the video stream games that come your way on WBCB as they video stream them on the TVs. Well, Coach, you're looking at 14 years here at Pennsbury. You've had a number of good years as far as that goes. What are some of the things that you think about, as you reminisce back and think of some of the years and some of the people that maybe you had go through here that really were guys you remember?
Well, we've had a lot of great players over the years. If you go back in time, I mean, we've had some Division I players. I guess our first one was like Kervin Michaud back in '03. Kervin went to Delaware to be the captain. I remember the game we played out here with North Penn that year, which ended up being a Comcast game. I think Big John Runyon was calling the game, and I remember meeting up with him, and he was like the biggest guy I think I've ever seen. And that was the year North Penn won they were loaded up. They won the state title. But we actually, the first half, we gave them a run for the money. It was going back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
And so that was a good game back in, that was '03. And then, of course, we had the strike year in 2005. And that's where the last 2 games of the season, we went on strike here. So I had to sit out. And I think my defensive coordinator, Sean Neely, ended up taking the team for the last 2 games.
I remember that.
Our first playoff game, we went up to Downingtown East, and we faced Pac Devon.
Right.
And they came out throwing the ball all over us. But eventually, I think I was sitting up in the stands watching it. And I think we came back and almost, I think the final score was 26-21. That was 2005. And then 2006, it's like we were able to complete that. By the way, that was the first time Pennsbury had been in the playoffs, 2005. In those days, only 8 teams were in the district playoffs.
Right.
And, it had been 4 prior to that. So the following year, 06 is when we had the whole crew, Jackson Fagan, Victor Iterdes, Josh Parks, C.J. Moore. We had a great team. We won the district, and then we had the 4
overtime game,
in the semis against Liberty, which is probably one of the best high school games I'm sure you ever played.
Oh yeah.
Best game I was probably ever a part of. After a great district title game against Ridley the week before, we shut them out. But the Liberty game was some game. And then, I know we won the league in '09. We made the semis in '11. We had a couple of Pepper boys with us, and then Big Dedman, JJ, went to Rutgers. Right. And lots of good players. I'm failing to mention a bunch of them. But then 2012, we won the league. It was a Hurricane Sandy game. Yeah. We went over to the Chamonix, beat them 7-0, and won the league in 13. And that was real good. I think we won 10 games that year. It was a good team. And of course, 14, we win the district title. Starway's our star. My son Luke gets to play a big part in that. We had a lot of great players.
Yeah.
And then this year.
The ARIA 3B Orthopedic Institute is redefining care in Center City and South Jersey. And our 50,000 square foot location on ARIA Health's Bucks campus in Langhorne features private rooms, free parking, and nearby hotels. With over a century of experience, the world-class 3Bs, Doctors Booth, Bartolozzi, Balderston, and their partners personally guide you from treatment through recovery. For all your orthopedic needs, call 1-888-ORTHO-3B or visit aria3bortho.org. At the ARIA 3B Orthopedic Institute, you come first.
Hi, this is Merrill Reese, and since 1986, McCaffrey's Supermarket has been a real supermarket experience and a very proud member of our community. Through good times and bad times, Jim McCaffrey and his family have been there to assist our neighbors when they needed help, whether it's helping flood victims, raising funds for the American Cancer Society, or supporting the local Little League teams. You can count on McCaffrey's to be there. McCaffrey Supermarkets, 635 Heacock Road in Yardley in the village of Newtown, at 2890 South Eagle Road, and also in Princeton and West Windsor. Discover the dealer for the people, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. One of the region's finest state-of-the-art service facilities for all makes and models. A service facility so good, local school districts get their buses serviced at Haldeman. Police fleets, local municipalities get their cars and trucks serviced at Haldeman. From oil changes to tire sales, Haldeman Ford services all makes and models. And they offer tires for just $10 over cost on name brand tires like Goodyear and Pirelli. And their waiting room offers complimentary food. And there's a special Wi-Fi room available for your use. So no matter where you purchase your car, get it serviced at Haldeman Ford, the dealership for the people on Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Well, you look at it, it's been a great run. There's no doubt about that. And one of the things you had, of course, during the course of your tenure here, and it happened in recent years, and that's been the fact that you also went from being like the Lower Bucks area schools together to where you had all the big schools coming together for a few years, and that was a change for you because you had to play the Penbridges, the North Penns, and other ball clubs that you had to play that were not from the local area so much. And that had to be a switch for you, too. But you did well against those teams, too, those years.
Yeah, our first 6 years, it was what you're talking about. It was kind of like the leftover. It was the Power 10.
Right.
Basically the North Penns, the Penridges, and the Sharon's, Pennsbury. The first 6 years. The next 6 years were geography.
Right.
And the last two, it went back to, going with the bigger, more powerful schools altogether.
Yeah.
In the last two. It's funny that the 2 years we won the district, it was when the league was more stacked.
Right.
And those are the years we ended up winning the district. It was 6 and 14.
Yeah.
So kind of ironic in that case. But so we got a mixture of it, but it was all good. It was all good time. Got to work with a lot of great kids. I mentioned a few of them.
Yeah.
Got coaches. We've had a number of coaches with me over the years, and assistants, good guys. Made it a lot of fun coaching with them, and so I got no regrets. It was a good time.
All right, we're going to be talking to them here in just a minute. I want to tell you about, of course, the Continental Tavern. I was telling you about them. The Continental Tavern's got everything for you. A lot of people go in there possibly before a game, after a game, maybe have a burger. You can have everything, though, for you. They have really, you can have a steak if you'd like. You can also have pastas. You can have a good salad. I've had their salads over there. They're very good. And, you can have just about anything that you can think of that's on anybody's menu. They have it all for you. Great wings, too. And, of course, like I said, it's such a nice place. It's unique. It's not going to be a place that you're going to find often that's been around for 150 years. They did some work, Frank Lyons and them, in expanding a little bit and also digging up some of the things they have that right there that are on the wall. In fact, you mentioned to Frank, and he can point out the things and exactly, give you exactly maybe the year that it came from and who were the people involved in those days. And they discovered a lot over there after 150 years of being in business at that place. And you'll enjoy it right there at Afton and Main in the heart of Yardley. And it's just so nice. And now they put in a porch this past year, too. So you have an opportunity here to go outside on good days, enjoy your dinner right there, and have a nice meal with your wife or with the family and enjoy a day together. And it's a good place to do it. And that's, of course, the Continental Tavern. Well, as the days got numbered there for you, and you were looking here at maybe the final games that you were maybe thinking what was going through your mind in the last few ball games? And here you are in the regular season, into the playoffs, and maybe knowing that you weren't going to be coaching again for a while.
Well, I mean, you're trying to focus on winning the games, so we hit the playoffs, and you're like, hey, let's try to win as many as we can here in the playoffs. We had a great win against Downingtown West. We had a little bit more room with our win against Perk Valley than the last game against Open Dublin. I knew they were going to be a tough team. But I do remember two things about Upper Dublin Week. I remember the day before the game, I believe it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Nice and warm. It was actually like a pretty warm day. I remember sitting out there to practice for this might be it. This may be the last time I'm here. And I do remember driving to, getting in my truck, driving to the field house the day of the game. My son's in the car next to me. We're driving. And again, it was a little bit warm those days, so I just remember driving and I'm like, hey, no, I'm hoping this isn't it, but I knew they were a pretty good team, so it might be. But you know, that was fine. That was fine. I mean, we actually played pretty hard. We had a chance to win the game at the end against a real good team. They're a very talented team, very underrated. How good they were, how much talent they had on their team this year. I think they showed that the next week against North Penn. You know, yeah. But it was a good game. Our kids played hard. The one thing about this year that I really appreciated is, you know, I really felt like the kids who were there with us the entire time, the whole 13 weeks, you know, 13 games, they ended up like, they gave us all they had. So I was very appreciative of that. I don't think we could have got any more out of them. And so from a coaching standpoint, that's really all you can ask.
You know, one of the things I recall with you now, all the years that you've been coaching, I was thinking about this when you know, I found out that you had decided to resign. I was thinking to myself, one of the things is, even when your teams maybe weren't the greatest, if you even had a 500 season or just over 500 season, the thing is, they always came out, they always gave the effort, it was always enjoyable. I love the sport of football, and I felt that you never missed anything with your teams. I felt they left it on the field, and you always played really well. It was enjoyable to do the ball games, even when they were winners and maybe when they didn't get even to the playoffs or get that far. And it certainly is really enjoyable when you have teams like that do get all the way. But I think one of the things I maybe enjoy it a lot is I'm doing your games from week in and week out, and I go to walk away and say, that was a good ball game. Whether you won or lost, that was a good game.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, you know, the kids all, you know, battled hard when they were with us, and you know, gave us their best effort, and you know, so I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the way that they play. We asked them to play a physical brand of football where even if you beat us, you know, you felt it the next week. You know what I mean? The teams felt it. It's probably one of the reasons why we didn't have a lot of teams raising their hand to play us in the preseason games, the first three where you got to basically, before you start the league, where you got to get teams to come play. You know, sometimes it was a little challenging getting teams because, you know, they knew if they win, you know, given our style of play and everything, they were going to feel it for a couple of weeks. So it was tough to get those games. But you know, but anyway, I'm proud of it.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the other things I certainly did like about you is the fact that you know, you did it your way. You did it your way. You knew that you brought on the ground and pound, as it turned out, as everybody talks about now. And you know, and I gotta really applaud you for the fact that you stuck to your guns. I mean, you know, people wanted you. I know you could hear it at times that they wanted you to throw more. I mentioned into the press box. I'm sure you heard about that. You know, or if you watched the films of the games that we had on. But at the same time, I was really happy to see that you never deviated. You believed in what you were doing, and that's what I think really brought this team to the heights that they attained, because you honestly believed fully in what you were doing and how you did it. You did it differently than a lot of guys are doing it today, the old-fashioned way, you might say. But you stuck to your guns and you got it done.
Well, a long time ago, Pepper Rogers coached a couple places, I think UCLA, a couple places. He said, his longtime coach, he said, you don't buck the trend. I think the trend was like in the, I think in the 70s when he would make this statement, it might have been like Wishbone or something. He says, you don't buck the trend. Well, we spent about 14 years bucking the trend, so I take pride in that.
Jerry Blavitt here to tell you about St. Francis Medical Center, the heart hospital in the city of Trenton. St. Francis Medical Center is one of the region's top cardiac care centers, serving all of Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. Their staff of highly trained physicians provide state-of-the-art heart care to patients with cardiovascular disease and pride themselves as being the only regional heart center to offer a full spectrum of individualized services. And Consumer Report ranks St. Francis Medical Center in the top 10 hospitals in New Jersey for safety, and the #1 hospital in Mercer County, St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital.
J.R. Maholsky Heating and Air Conditioning is your official York heating and air conditioning specialist, serving all of Bucks and Mercer counties. Call J.R. Maholsky Heating and Air Conditioning at 215-752-1442. That's 215-752-1442. J.R. Maholsky Heating and Air Conditioning.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job of it too. And like I said so many times, and I wore this shirt Yeah, the championship of the district in
I like that
2014
shirt.
in honor
I like
of you
that
today.
shirt. Yep.
And one of the things too was the fact that, like I said, I enjoyed so many years of doing your games and other games here in Lower Bucks as well. But certainly anybody should realize, you know, when you're following a team like that and you make the playoffs, you get into the playoffs, sure, you're helped. I was up too for, I felt you had to do a better job, had to be right on point, because this meant more because you were in the playoffs and you really tried to, you know, bring the people, you know, the game with interest. And, you know, the way it goes, that 06 club, the 14 club, the team you had this year, I tell you, the last few years, I honestly, and I told you this, I honestly enjoyed football following your team probably more than I had, you know, any other years, because it was really enjoyable. Not only that, I got to know the kids. I think I got to know the kids a little bit better in the last few years, maybe getting closer than I had been for the years before that. But, you know, certainly with your son being there and the group that he had, and the guys before him, Snorway and all of them, I look at that and they always come up to me. I will say that about your kids. Your kids, a lot of times I could be out somewhere with my wife and, you know, I'm at the mall or something, and they'll come up to me, Mr. Reed, how are you? Everything very polite, very nice. And that's something special that, you know, you can instill in your kids to be able to do something like that. I mean, you know, a lot of kids would probably just pass you by, but it seems what your kids a lot of times will come right up and say hello. And I got to admit, my wife afterwards will say, you didn't introduce me, who was that? I said, without a number, I probably don't know who he was. I said, but it was nice of him to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's you know, it's obviously a reflection a lot of times of you know, the kid themselves, their parents and whatnot, but I also think, you know, I think it's also a bit of a reflection too of, you know, of our team and their relationship with you guys. You guys doing a good job after the games, interviewing them. They all know you. They get to watch you on the internet and everything like that, so they get familiar with it. But just
that's probably one of the reasons too that we've come closer to these group of kids, because they do know us, they do see us, and we're involved with them by interviewing them, and also, like you said, by them
it's a
seeing
two-way
us.
street. It's a two-way street. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you had anything, you know, that you'd like to say here as we wind it up, you know, and as I said, that's winding it up, this tenure for 14 years. Doesn't mean we're not going to ever be back again with a Galen Snyder show. That's the way I feel, and hope anyway. And at the same time, what are the things that you'd like to, you know, leave as you made your mark? What would you like to say here in the final moments?
Well, there's a lot of, yeah, I want to thank all the kids and all the parents of the kids and all the assistant coaches I've had, and at least some of the administrators I've had. I'd like to thank all of them for the past 14 years, and all the media, okay? I think I ended up pretty good. I mean, I had my struggles with a few guys originally, but I think towards the end I lightened up probably a lot, and you know, I had developed a pretty good relationship with almost all the media guys. So I want to thank them all, and it was a good ride, and we'll see what the future holds.
And we certainly will. And we'll let you know, of course, that we're brought to you every time we do this show is by ARIA Health, your friends and neighbors here in Bucks County, who are with us also in our pregame show when we give away the hats and the T-shirts as well. And of course, also the Continental Tavern, where we do the preview shows for Pennsbury, and it was enjoyable there. We're going to be doing more, I'm sure, of the preview shows. Of course, going to be with a new coach this time around. Who's that going to be? We haven't the slightest idea, and maybe they don't either until they finally can nail it down as to who's going to be the successor here to Galen Snyder. But I mentioned this, I mentioned this online, and I think whoever it is going to have a tough time. The reason why is because he has left a big legacy to be followed here with the job that he has done here at Pennsbury High School with his Falcon Ball Club. It's going to be a lot for a coach to uphold that. I think it's a great situation, don't get me wrong, because Galen, one thing about him is he gets a lot of those youngsters into the play before the year is over. So you got some kids coming back next year. You got some young guys that maybe you didn't hear too much about, but they showed us that they also could be something. So this is a team that can go along still and be a really good ball club, because he's leaving actually with an opportunity for somebody to pick it up and just continue on from there. And every year you have to add parts. They know that. They lose seniors, so you have to add some people. But certainly there's enough there to get things going again for another year, to keep this run going here without even Galen being there. But it's going to be a tough one for a new coach to try to fulfill the shoes that Galen has had here in the 14 years of all the victories here, about 116 wins and something like 48 losses over the span of 14 years. And then you have the championships in the district, the way that was, making it to the state semifinals as well. All those kind of things add in to a guy having a really great tenure here as a head coach. And as I mentioned, you know, this will be the final time we'll be doing the show this time around with Galen Snyder. But, you know, I'll look forward to the possibility of maybe, say, after 4 years from now, there's a chance that we might be doing this again. We'll look forward to that possibility. And I do want to say, certainly as a coach, and I consider him as a friend after all these years, Galen, best of luck.
Thanks, Vince. I appreciate it.
And we thank you for joining us each and every week here with the Galen Snyder Show. I'm Vince Reed.